Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill are in a quarterback competition. Jameis started last night, balled the fuck out, okay? Dropping balls in buckets. The internet and his haters and detractors say he threw it in double coverage. He threw a perfect ball to a guy that I didn't know existed, wearing number 1, who had a massive night in Callaway. And whenever Michael Thomas gets back, how you doing? Keep it moving. Ooh. They might have a real weapon set out there. Taysom Hill comes in immediately after Jameis throws 2 touchdowns. Not a great spot for Taysom Hill to come in, and he did not look great either. So that's a competition, and Sean Payton's not only the head coach, but he's also calling plays. If you think about San Francisco, you got Trey Lance and Jimmy G, both in a quarterback competition, obviously. The head coach who's making the decision is also calling plays. Then you go to Chicago. The head coach that'll be making the decision is also calling plays between Andy Dalton and Justin Fields right now in preseason. The reason why I bring this up is Justin Fields, I think in his first week, had a naked boot throwback across the field. First preseason game, that play, guaranteed touchdown. Guaranteed touchdown in the first preseason game. A misdirection throwback is going to be a touchdown. Nagy called that for Fields. Trey Lance got one of those as well. Did Jimmy G get one? Did Dalton get one? What were the plays that Sean was calling for Jameis as opposed to Taysom, or Taysom instead of Jameis? The amount of potential control that these three have is not just like, oh, he's our quarterback, this is a starter. They're also the ones calling the plays for these particular players. It is a lot of pressure, I'd assume, on these three to get it right. They probably all have their ideas on who they want, how they want it, but does that go into their play calls, you think, in each one of these preseason games? I would assume yes, AJ.
Well, I would assume whatever quarterback is in, you're going to run whatever plays you feel suit their talent, like the set that they have, their skill set, and what they do best. So, yeah, you want to move Justin Fields around more than you're going to move around the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. But are you saying, going back to Jacksonville just for a second, Darrell Bevell's their offensive coordinator? That's like, I feel like people are saying they need to fire him. Like, what is that, Dane Orlovsky? Didn't he say that?
Yeah, before we get to that, okay, can we get back to this? Do you think, and I'm like very fascinated by this, do you think, okay, that any of these quarterbacks, maybe the vets that get run out of town, will ever come and say, fascinating play calls that old Fields was getting that I was not.
Yeah,
do you think there's any of that could potentially, I mean, that's what happens when you have a battle at the quarterback position. The locker room, coaches, literally everybody's like, my entire livelihood is dependent upon how you do. You need to know that. Okay, I don't care how young you are, how old you are, how immobile you are, how mobile you are. My life depends on your success. So when each play that gets called, I wonder if each guy on the roster is like, oh, fascinating, you give that play to Andy Dalton and not to Justin Fields, or wow, I can't believe you let Jimmy do that and not Trey. Are you not trying to see Trey Lance do that? The amount of petty bullshit that could potentially come from this is insane, I think.
I think that could be a real thing with the Saints and the Niners, but with the Bears, besides that one play, that's not a thing because Nagy has no fucking clue what a good play call is.
Okay, which does lead us back to Bevel. Orlovsky last night, he said, this ish archaic.
Yeah, shit.
And Dan Orlovsky let that one fly after a second preseason game. All right, so, I mean, he rightfully so was attacked by people on Twitter. But Dan came on this show and said, if your offensive coordinator isn't utilizing every single foot that is on the field, they are hurting your team as opposed to helping. So I think Dan is talking about the styles of offense that are available right now with the way rules are and the way players are. If you're not utilizing that offense, you're kind of setting the game back or whatever. It's impossible to judge in preseason, but I know where Dan was coming from. The internet did not care about where Dan was coming from after week 2 of the preseason, AJ.
I mean, it's definitely a bold statement for coming from Dan, but I would like to hear Dan's explanation because we know Dan doesn't just throw stuff out there. Like, Dan never, I feel like, isn't a guy that just all of a sudden shoots from the hip and just lets it fly. He will back that up by film or scheme, everything, which I think me and you probably will not dive into the film as much as Dan might and study the scheme that Bevel is running. But it does look weird. I don't know what, if you play Trevor Lawrence in the third week, I don't know what they should do. But, man, you got to find a way to win week 1 and try to quiet some people down.
Okay, so the last quarterback taken number 1 overall to win opening week was they gave us that. It was a long time ago.
It wasn't Luck.
No, it was a long time ago. 2002, maybe? Well, I don't remember.
Marcus Russell?
No, he wouldn't.
No, they gave the stat last night. I was trying to remember it all. I was on a Spaces. I was
Russell, you're saying number 1 overall pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not easy. Because they're talking about number 1 overall pick because
David Carr?
It was.
What year?
It was David Carr. I can't remember what that was.
Texans.
2002.
So wow. Did I say 2002?
Yeah, you did.
Fucking just trust it, dude. Just fucking say it. Let it fly, dude. It's good. Yeah, why'd I even question it? Why'd I even question it?
Wait, were you thinking David Carr?
No, I didn't know it was David Carr. I was thinking a year because since 2002, whenever I saw the graphic, I'm like, damn, it's been a long time since the number 1 overall pick won, and it's because you're going to such a bad team. Like you're going to a bad place normally if you're number 1 overall. So the expectations on Jacksonville are always low. I think the expectations on Trevor Lawrence because he's in Jacksonville are rather low, but the expectations on Urban Meyer are. Is this guy going to stick around until they're good? That's all the expectation is now at this point.
Well, and he wins too, right? Because of the fact that he's not calling plays. Because that tweet could have easily said they need to start thinking about a new head coach because Urban Meyer can't call a goddamn offense. But instead, it's it's all on Bevel, and he can kind of delegate to everyone else instead of taking the brute force on his own shoulder.
When you're a head coach that isn't calling plays, you can blame somebody else.
Yeah.
You